All right, I'm going to call to order the March 17th, 2026 Canterbury Planning Board meeting. Oh, actually, fair question in terms of quorum.
Yep.
Has Janice taken the oath of office too?
Yes, she
Okay,
took
so
it
everyone's
at the
taken it.
end of town meeting on Friday.
All right, and you were last year, so you're good. All right, so we have 4 people. So I'd like to welcome new ex officio member, if I say that right, I don't know how to speak Latin. And Janice as well, thank you for stepping up. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the rest of the board.
Sure. Janice Delacroce, and I moved to Canterbury in 2017. Hard to believe it was a decade ago, or almost a decade ago. Time really goes by fast. And let's see, prior to that, I lived in Bristol, New Hampshire, where I was part of the Bristol Planning Board. And during a time when probably our biggest achievement probably was the master plan, the ordinances. I think all of the things that are done every day, but we had seemed to be starting from scratch, so it was a lot of work because it was ongoing. We had to have a vision for what we were calling the reimagining of the gateway to Newfoundland Lake. Route 3A is a lot of residential and a lot of businesses, and it was trying to find that happy medium. So there was a lot of technical things and a lot of rewrites in the ordinances and what have you. In addition to that, I always have wanted to be part of the community, doing what needs to be done, stepping up at the right time, and trying to figure things out with the rest of the team members. At home, it's a little different. I live there with my 5-year-old Entobuca mountain dog, and he's boss. It's very simple. It's a simple life at home. It's just like, do what he says and he's happy.
Nice, so thank you for stepping up. We needed another person, so it's great to have you. It's great to have planning board experience as well. Have you met Logan?
Yes, I do.
As well, and Calvin? All right, so we'll meet the other 3 afterwards. All right, so the first thing we got to do, it's a new year, is elect a chair and vice chair. The very many options that are available here this time. So the way we did last year is we took just a motion in a second, and then if there was any other person who was interested, we could do more motions, and then take a roll call vote if needed, and then move on from chair to vice chair.
So only those present can be nominated?
I think we could nominate other people, but
They
it sort
can't
of
accept
complicates it. So we could, the second thing we could do, just because there's 4 of us, is we could push this off to, what is it, the 31st, where we're closer to 7 people, which is probably best where there's only 4 people, and I don't wanna.
Considering 2 of us are new to this.
And I don't think we can elect Calvin
No.
Not, yeah, he cannot, I think, because of,
because he's
he's a
not
select board.
No,
a
that's
full
right, yeah.
planning
Right.
board, yeah,
He gets to
So-
vote though.
which is reasonable.
He does get to vote, yeah,
Yeah.
so my preference of the 2 options is that we just take a
I
motion to
move
push
that we
this to the
put
31st.
This to the 31st.
All right. Is anyone opposed to that approach? Good. All right, approval of the February 24th, 2026 draft meeting minutes. My understanding is Cheryl got 1 suggested change.
Yes, I did. There was a point of clarification. On the second page of the minutes, under public hearings, the second line should clarify that Logan recused herself from discussion and voting on the issue as an abutter and a family member. And further, when the votes were taken on the approval of the waiver, acceptance of the application, and approval of the subdivision, the minutes should clarify that Logan did not vote.
Okay. Good clarification so that we're posterity, that we're clear. So I assume there's no problem with that suggested change. If not, I would take a motion to approve the February 24th meeting minutes as amended by Logan's suggestion.
I will so move.
Is there a second? All right, I will second.
Then you can second it.
But I can't vote though
You,
because I wasn't on.
you still
can
can
still
vote,
second the
because the board
motion.
still
Okay.
like has to approve stuff.
It's like, I'm like,
But,
how would
yeah.
work with this?
So all in favor? Aye.
I,
All opposed?
Abstain.
One abstain, two abstain, enough, 2-0. Alright, review of board procedures, bylaws, code of conduct. Was gonna go into more detail, but I think it might make sense to just flag that we have certain things for Janice and in terms of board procedures for Calvin, and then we'll pick this back up in 2 weeks. But you have a copy of the code of conduct in your packet. And please read it, but it's, I don't know, basically the golden rules, just treat people the way you wanna be treated. These are all public meetings, be respectful to applicants, other board members, members of the public, and know that if there's any issues just in terms of like how the board is interacting with town staff and how we get materials or how we're communicating, like you don't have to address them necessarily in a board meeting. So if you ever have concerns, you can bring them to me, you can bring them to Michelle, the land use administrator, or the town administrator, and do it sort of outside of a meeting. Some things may need to come to a meeting, but not everything does.
Yeah, I've got a question about the bylaws, if you're still on that.
Sure, well,
Are you amending your bylaws or just reviewing them?
just reviewing.
If I brought suggested changes, would you be willing to consider amending the bylaws?
Sure, is there something you have in mind you wanna flag in advance?
There's some things, that are typos, some things that are, need to be updated now that we have a land use administrator, and there's some things that, I don't think there's anything that actually explicitly is against an RSA, it's just things that should be clarified, for how we're actually doing things
Okay,
now, so
sure.
if that's okay.
Yeah, if you have a list, if you
I do, I've been redlining it, so.
okay, but I prefer to take that, any changes when we have
Yes,
7.
I would give the copy to Michelle so she can distribute it so everybody can see the changes.
Sounds good to me. The other one, I'll go over it again in 2 weeks, but I wanna hit now, is just the 91A piece, how we do minutes and emails, since you're familiar to some extent. Good to the planning board, but all of our emails are government records, so try to use your town email for planning board business and not your personal email, so we don't open the gate there. Assume anything could be requested. And then the magic number for a quorum for this board is 4, so you can meet and talk about, if you want, planning board business with 3 or fewer people, just not planning board business with 4 or more. I did get a fun question in my job a couple days ago, where it's like 2 out of a 3-member select board, they all go take a week-long hunting trip together. And they're like, does that count as a quorum? And I was like, well, just talk about hunting.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have any suggested changes to the minutes, reply not to all, when you get them in your email, just reply to Cheryl alone. And if they're typos, she'll usually just make them and bring them in. If they're more substantive, we'll do what we did today and she'll read them one by one so we can hear.
Okay, so we give them to her first?
Yeah, and so what we ran into and had a lot of trouble is if we had more substantive changes, it was hard in a meeting for them to track what the changes are, but this way they have something in writing, they can read it, we can all discuss it, and then take a vote.
Good question.
Yeah,
Is there a reason we don't just have the secretary send things out as BCC to everybody who should receive it?
so, I don't know, it could happen, you can't have like a discussion of actual business, even if it's like serialized emails that make it up, but circulating things, I don't have a problem, but I guess that would cut down on people accidentally replying all.
Well, yeah, that's my point, like, cause if they sent it out BCC to everybody, then you could reply to the email without fear of accidentally replying all. Like Cal
So,
knows things.
when we started getting into all this right to know stuff last year, the year before, the issue was that I was doing the BCC thing because that does prevent people from replying all, but then you would get people forwarding things to each other because they didn't think that somebody else got it. So it would be like the
Best laid
same
plans.
person getting the same email from 5 different people
Okay.
because other people are very concerned about good communication, but then they don't realize that like everybody has already seen this, so
It's not the end of the world if you reply all when we're actually
yes.
doing something in the meeting here. It's
I'm
just
just
sending
gonna cry in
changes.
technology
But
here
yes,
for a minute.
Yeah. Especially if one person, because we have had that sometimes where one person like ignores the don't reply all, or they forget about the don't reply all rule, and so they do send like actual discussion out to the rest of the board. And those few times that that's happened, as long as nobody else replied back, then it's not really a back and forth discussion between the board members. So in that case, I think I like sent out a quick email being like, everybody stop, just stop, please, and then it like didn't really get there violation.
So, staying on that lane, if you have anything you want to add to the agenda, just email me and Michelle. If you have anything you want other members of the board to see in advance, you can email Michelle and ask her to send it to everyone, just say like, please take a look. Don't reply to this, but be prepared to talk about it at the next meeting. I think those are
We should probably do a new
the big ones,
contact
and then they
list. So that has contact info. Not that our emails aren't all on the website, but you know.
and oh, you can keep going, it's fine, yeah.
We're gonna do another right to know training this year in probably May, so I'll schedule it and send it out to everybody, but Janice, you should definitely attend, because it's right to know but customized for Canterbury.
Alright,
Copy.
Sweet.
you have my phone, please feel free to use that if you need to say that you're gonna be absent. If you are gonna miss, please email or text just so we're not waiting like tonight for some people, but some people told us. The other piece is when we have more alternates, if someone tells me and I start getting 2 people saying they're gonna be absent, I can start badgering people to actually show up. And on alternates, if you know of anyone or can think of anyone, please encourage them. I at least, and I don't know who will be chair in 2 weeks, I never had a problem with alternates not regularly attending, because it's a lot of work, but just having them on standby so that if people say, I can't make it, that we can get someone. I also sometimes, when there's a hearing, preemptively text people to make sure there's enough people who are gonna show up, particularly if we think it's gonna be a multi-meeting hearing, like a big project, because you don't wanna have people coming in and out for that. Other than that, building permit update. 17 new dwelling units. I always forget where the part of the zoning ordinance with the building permit cap is, but I think that's nowhere close.
I think it's about half the cap.
And then,
3%.
okay, and then we'll see in the next year as the West Road subdivision gets built out.
I'm pretty sure that it is the case that we ask that ADUs be counted in the building cap. Do you see that in the number that you get?
The number of
That
This
is-
number had 1 accessory dwelling unit listed,
Okay.
which is interesting because we approved more than one, so
Yes.
I'm a little curious about that.
So as far as I know, we had talked about making sure that they were counted.
Well,
So,
us approving
this
them
had a-
doesn't mean they can actually
Right, that
go
they-
and build it.
Got a building permit, yep. But at least according to the report from year-end 2025 to like town meeting to town meeting, it was 17 dwelling units and 1 ADU.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And on the traffic count piece, agenda, due April 3rd, which means we have time to think about it, but everyone can kind of take a look and think which roads we might wanna recommend for this next cycle. I didn't know that we had this at all, and the amount of times that even in like zoning board issues, we
So
were asking about trips.
I've been here for making this decision before, cause I'm now like a senior planning board member. And I think what we did before is we looked at what roads had been not done in the longest period of time, and then maybe added in a couple that seemed like roads that people were especially concerned about for reasons. You know, just kind of gut feel. And I don't think that was contentious or particularly difficult to do, is
No.
my recollection.
You can see when the last one is, you can kind of get a sense too of where people are and where development happens in town.
Yeah, I think we might have
But,
found once, it was like, stuff is happening in this area and it hasn't been counted in 2 years ago.
But
It's
I
nice
am,
to see West Road after, now that they've started with the gas station also coming back into play in the next couple of months.
yeah,
How much extra traffic there?
but I didn't know we had this, and this will have a prominent place in my binder, so when in a butter or I've been asked about traffic, you know, oh, we actually have, you know, it might be old, but some figure to determine whether we need some more information about traffic impact.
And you could scribble on there if somebody's asking about something that we don't have a number on recently, you
Alright.
wanna point it up for next time, okay?
Alright, so if everyone can take a look and we'll make that decision on the 31st, that'd be great. Cluster subdivision ordinance review. To catch you up on this piece, we had an application for mixed commercial and residential cluster subdivision in the commercial zone, and did not have unanimous agreement about how to interpret the ordinance as to determining baseline density. And then maybe I'm not speaking for everyone, but the feeling was sort of you had some bonus density that you could award for certain things, but it didn't feel like outside of the bonus density that you had any real leverage for other things that people cared about in town. So the goal, we've like lowered the baseline density at the town meeting, but the goal is to rework it so that it has an incentive structure that feels like we have a little bit more control over what we're moving, and if you want more units, it's a little bit easier to get them if you do the things that people actually care about, as opposed to some of the generic ones that we had to.
The only question I have on that is was it a I mean, obviously the commercial and residential, you said?
Yeah.
So what zone was it actually in? Commercial.
It was in the commercial zone, and it was almost, there were 2, they eventually went up to 3 commercial units, and the rest was all residential, so it felt very much like a residential subdivision, which was not sort of what was envisioned for that area. And so all that, you know, sort of factors in. I think there were some changes that were made, but for example, we can be a lot more clear about how you calculate baseline density. For example, I had a question from Kelly Short about, well, what's the incentive to even come to a cluster now if you're only gonna get half as many units if you do a traditional? But with a traditional, you need to have a lot that's regular enough that you can drop enough lots in that meet the minimum acreage and have the Canterbury rectangle to show that they're regular and put in your roadways. So you're not actually gonna get, on most lots, to the cap with a traditional subdivision. And that was part of our disagreement during that application was, how do we calculate the baseline density? And the majority of the board voted that it was, the way the ordinance was written, it was just sort of acreage. It was not, you don't like lay out an entire subdivision, prove that it can be done, and then restart and cluster them all. Well, we could make it like that. So anyway, that's sort of the big pieces we gotta think about are what incentives actually matter, what should our baseline density be, how easy do you make those incentives, and whether or not they're discretionary. We can, the goal is to start that sooner rather than later this year, so we get it done in our way.
So is that project underway? I mean, what if?
So they have their approval,
They have
yeah,
their
cause they were
approval,
under
Yeah.
prior ordinance, so none of this affects them, but
Right.
they are sort of the
Yeah.
the lesson and the one
That's right.
application
Yeah,
we have
that's what,
that
it's nonstop.
yes. So I think they've been clearing, and we'll see how fast they start building the units. Alright. But I'm gonna try to come with some starting point thoughts for that to get us all started.
And this is replacement for this section of our,
Yep, so Cal made the changes from the town meeting, so that's the new,
I will keep this and
the
not
new
just
zoning ordinance.
yeet it into the recycling bin.
Alright,
There's some work changes in there too. I reorganized the table of uses and the definitions so that things are in alphabetical order, mostly.
Motion to give calories again.
You don't have that authority.
well, there's a quorum.
Look, I can make a motion
Oh,
for anybody.
It's not needed, it's not noticed.
Well, wait, you have two select board
It's
members.
not
to do it.
noticed.
Oh, no, we can't, all right,
Can't do that.
I wouldn't even think of it.
Alright,
Public outcry to give calories.
that's all. Other than that, I am gonna, at least for one more meeting, do my best to keep it meeting short. The goal is to end at 9 at the latest, so if we have too much, we hit 9, we push it off to the next meeting.
Here, here.
And I'd like that to continue, cause we're all volunteers still. That's all I have. Any new, old, or other business from either of you or any person on the board?
New-ish business, I brought this up last night at the select board hearing, is, my hope would be this year, we can maybe try to work a little bit more with the ZBA, just try to meet with them once or twice a year. Especially now that the new zoning ordinances are put in, you know, it might be a good idea to sort of either talk with Jim or have him attend a meeting, or all the members, and sort of reiterate to them what the planning board's view or vision of the ordinances were, so that way when they do come to their hearings, they've got a direction or an understanding of what the intent was behind the ordinances, so we don't kind of have some hiccups like we had the past couple of years. And then try to
Yeah.
maybe meet with them later in the year and see where there were some shortcomings or ordinances they feel could be spruced up or fine tuned, something along those lines.
I can't believe it also took me an entire year to realize that Jim Week is married to my daughter's kindergarten teacher. I was like, how many people can have that last name?
I did it too, so don't worry.
I actually already had it, I meant to tell you this last night, I already had it on my to-do list to schedule a land use board meeting in May and then another one in September. So if you're okay with that, I was just gonna do it.
Sure.
And invite at least all the chairs of the land use boards, but then anybody can attend, and that way, like Calvin said, you can talk first thing in the year, after town meeting, to like what's coming down the pipeline, like make sure everybody's on the same page, especially the ZBA, and then in September, that way if there's zoning changes that like ag or HDC or something want, they can get in touch with you guys.
Okay,
Is that a,
that's totally fine, yeah.
okay.
Cause last year, there was the hiccup of the 1,000 feet for the ADU on how it was to be interpreted, and I think you guys addressed it and changed it and defined it this year, so it's just one of those little things where it's,
I'm so sorry.
That's alright. I apologize, I wasn't fast enough at texting you, and then Calvin was talking to me and I'm like being super rude texting, trying to say, we're wrapping up. It's-
Oh, are you?
Very sorry.
So, I'm sorry about that. I'll give you an opportunity for all the new, old, and other business. We pushed off election of officers for 2 more weeks, so it'll be the 31st.
Oh, was that because of me?
Well,
Okay.
Greg's also sick, and Josh had an issue and couldn't make it either, so we were down to 4. Would have been ruling by default. And then we'll go back over some of the piece, Cal has some suggested changes to the bylaws to clean them up. And what was the last one for,
You
on
haven't
the
missed-
road count piece, just to take a look and see if you have any suggested roads that it'd be helpful to have
Okay.
updated information for, and we'll make a decision at the next meeting.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for rushing over, sorry I didn't
Okay.
respond sooner. Alright, so that's all I have. Anything else?
From here.
Alright, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? I'll second
I
it.
feel like I'm
All in favor?
I'm gonna say.
Aye.
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 Alright, thank you all.
Thank you.